Greetings from Bowling Green Presbyterian Church. I'm Max Russell, and I have the devotion for today. And I want to share a little story that I heard with you. It's about a wealthy man and his son who loved to collect rare works of art. They had everything in their collection from Picasso to Van Gogh, and they would often sit together and admire these great works of art. Well, this was back in the 60s, and the Vietnam War broke out, and the son went to war. He was very courageous. He died in battle while rescuing another soldier. Now, the father was obviously devastated, and he grieved deeply for his son. So it was around Christmas time, about probably a month later, and there's a knock on the door. And a young man stood at the door with a large package in his hand. He said, "Sir, you don't know me, but I'm the soldier for whom your son gave his life for. And he saved many lives that day. He was carrying me to safety when a bullet struck him, killed him instantly. He often talked about you and your love for art." The young man held the package out, and he said, "I know this isn't much. I'm not really a great artist, but I think your son would have wanted you to have this." The father opened the package, and it was a portrait of his son, painted by the young man. And he stared at all in the way the soldier had captured the personality of his son in the painting. The father was so drawn to the eyes that his own eyes welled up with tears. So he thanked the young man and offered to pay him for the picture. He said, "Oh, no, sir, I could never repay what your son did for me. This is a gift, and I hope you'll accept it as such." So the father hung the portrait over his mantle. And every time visitors came by to see the portraits of Van Gogh and Rembrandt and all those, he'd take them to see the portrait of his son first. A few months later, the man died. It was going to be a great auction of all these paintings that he had. Many influential people gathered, excited over seeing these great paintings, having an opportunity to purchase one for their own collections. Well, on the platform, as they went to auction, sat the painting of the son. The auctioneer pounded his gavel, like auctioneers do. We started bidding with this picture of the son. Who'll bid for this picture? And there was silence. Then a voice in the back of the room shouted, we don't want to see this. We want to see the famous paintings. Can you skip this one?" But the auctioneer persisted. He said, "Will somebody please bid for this painting? Who'll start the bidding? $100, $200? Another voice in the background said, "Listen, we didn't come to see this painting. We came to see the Van Goghs and the Rembrandts. Let's get on with the real stuff." But still the auctioneer continued. The son, who'll bid for the son?" And finally, a voice came from the back of the room. It was a longtime gardener of the man and his son. He said, I'll give $10 for the painting." Being a poor man, that was about all he could afford. "We have $10. Who'll bid $20? This time an angry voice rang out. "Give it to him for $10. We want to see the masters." The crowd was angry. They didn't want to see a picture of the son. They wanted the more worthy investments for their collections. So the auctioneer pounded the gavel, going once, going twice. "Sold for $10. The man sitting on the second row said, "Now can we get on with the real collection?" And the auctioneer laid his gavel down. He said, "I'm sorry, but the auction's over." "Well, what about the paintings?" the man asked. He said, "I'm sorry, but when I was called to conduct this auction, I was told of a secret stipulation in the will. I was not allowed to reveal that stipulation until this time. Only the painting of the son would be auctioned. whoever bought that painting would inherit the entire estate, including the paintings. The man who took the son gets everything. You know, God gave his son 2,000 years ago to die on the cross. Much like the auctioneer, his message today is, son, the son. Who will take the son? Because you see, whoever takes the son gets everything. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him shall have eternal life. Now that is love. You know, the fella that sent me this story also wrote this. It's actually a poem that I'm going to play for you. I put music to it. This friend of mine, his name's Wayne Lundquist. And the song is called Peace in Small Instances. Weary of body and tired of mind, with the day's work painted on the tapestry of labor done, I traveled through the quiet countryside, having left the busyness of work and city behind, seeking the refuge of home, seeking the refuge of home. Across the hill, the landscape opened up around me. Hazy meadows, bringing me a pensive mood, greatly soothing, greatly soothing. At the end of the meadowland, startled as a turn in the road presented me with a bright orange orb, peering through a colorless sky, the setting sun flashing its luminescent brilliance through the naked forest and the dirty windshield of my truck, windshield of my truck. The short distance left to travel was inconsequential. My destination reached even more restful in the realization that our God gives us peace in small instances. God gives us peace in small instances, if we but notice, if we but notice. Amen.